Hello YouTube Nation, welcome. I am Tia Latrice and I'm super happy to have you here today. I have another great DIY in store for you, but before we jump into today's dining chair thrift flip, please be sure to click that subscribe button along with the notification bell so that you're notified each time I upload new content. For this project, I used 2 dining chairs that I was able to find at my local thrift store, about 1.5 yards of heavy fabric that I found at Walmart, and an entire can of spray paint. Tools used for this project were an electric screwdriver, a Phillips head screwdriver, and a heavy-duty stapler. Guys, the very best part about this DIY is that it cost me less than $30 total for both chairs. So the reason why I wanted to do this project is because I've been in search of 2 additional chairs to add to my existing dining room set. Checking online though, the cost for those 2 chair sets would have been anywhere between $200 and $300 for the chairs I wanted, which I really just was not trying to pay. So when I came across these chairs in the thrift store, they were $8 each, and I figured even though they were not the exact style of the existing chairs that I have, they would add a nice level of contrast and still complement the set as long as I was able to update them to something that looked nice with what I already had. So after gathering all of your materials, you can go ahead and flip your chair over and begin to dismantle your chairs. So as you can see in the background, I've already taken one of the chairs apart. You can't see it very well in this shot, but essentially you're just going to take your electric screwdriver, put it on the reverse mode, and remove all of the screws from the underside of the chair. These are the screws that are holding the seat cushion onto the base of the chair, as well as what's holding the base of the chair onto the back side of the chair. Since you can't see the dismantled pieces very well, I wanted to show you what those look like once I got the chairs apart. So this is the seat cushion. Looks like someone tried to do their own reupholstery on this. I was able to easily just remove that fabric. It was in place with staples. Once I got that off and got the chair apart, it looks like the base and the cushion are actually in really good condition. Just spray that with some Lysol before proceeding to put on the new fabric for your chairs. When sizing the fabric for the seats, you want to make sure that there's enough to cover the entire seat and enough to loop over the back of the seat so that you can staple that into place. So I guess just have a little bit of overhang. I have a lot of additional fabric here, as you can kind of see. I kept a lot of it in place and then just trimmed off what I didn't need. But make sure that when you're stapling this fabric into place, that you pull it tightly so that it fits very snug against the cushion. You don't want any extra material or extra like wrinkling or anything like that. So just make sure it's pulled really tight with the seat. That's going to give you a really clean and finished look. So guys, if you're looking at this and you're like, I have never reupholstered anything, I'm not sure if I can do this, let me just tell you, this is the very first time I've reupholstered any chairs or anything as far as I can remember, and it was very simple to do, especially since it's just the seat cushion that you are reupholstering. It's a very simple shape to work with. As long as you have the fabric pulled tight, you have a good quality stapler to keep that fabric in place, it's definitely something that you could do even as a beginner. So definitely try it if it's something that you are interested in. You can save a ton of money, as you can see. As you are securing your material into place, be sure to pay close attention to the corners. You want to make sure, number one, that they are neat and they're not like buckling or anything like that. And also you want to make sure that it looks consistent between your chairs. So make sure that the corners look the same on each cushion, but also make sure that between the 2 cushions that they look about the same. And as you can see, finished with that first one, and it looks really good, if I must say so myself. So I just sat that aside and repeated this same process for the second cushion. So now that both of your seat cushions are fully covered, you can move on to the sanding phase. So as you can see, I'm trying to do this just with my hand. I usually have like a sanding block. I couldn't find it for some reason, so I just use these sanding sheets. I got these from the Dollar Tree, but you can pick them up anywhere. I would actually recommend maybe using some that don't come from the Dollar Tree. I noticed that they tear apart quite easily, especially doing a sanding job like this for something that's kind of a larger size. It wasn't the best option, but it's the option that I had, and it worked fine. Just takes a little bit of elbow grease. As you can tell, I had to spend a little bit of time trying to sand these down. Now, the goal for sanding these is not to get all of the previous finish off. It's essentially just to make sure that you take off that top layer of whatever the finish is, so that it's not like shiny or glossy. This will allow whatever spray paint, or if you're using a different type of paint, it'll allow any paint that you're using to better adhere to this material. That way you don't experience peeling and things like that after the pieces have been painted. So while doing this sanding by hand, all I could think of was the need for an electric sander. So guys, I am planning to get maybe an orbital sander. I'm not exactly sure. I've been trying to price them on Walmart and Amazon. Let me know if you use an electric sander, if you use a cordless one or one of the regular ones with a cord. If you have a recommendation, let me know in the comments below, and I'll see if maybe I can use one of those that you guys recommend. So now we're moving on to the painting phase. As you can see on that can, I'm using a gray flat primer. This was not my first choice. However, the gray spray paint that I normally use was out of stock, and I didn't want to get like a shiny glossy paint. So I went with this flat primer. And just because it is a primer, and I've never used a primer as, you know, just as a regular paint before, I wanted to make sure that these weren't going to peel or chip or anything like that as far as the paint was concerned. So you won't be able to see it here, but I did go back after I finished doing a couple of layers of this primer paint. I went back with a clear matte sealant, I guess. I can put in the description what exactly I used for those, just so you'll know. But essentially, I just wanted to make sure that this paint wasn't going to peel off of these seats, and that it was going to last and look nice and sleek and clean with the rest of my set. Now, typically what I would have done, rather than using this flat primer, I would have used a paint and primer in one. This will prevent you from having to use two separate products, and again, you would be able to cover it with just one can and then not have to worry about going back in with a protective coating. But unfortunately, they didn't have that, so I'm using this primer and sealant instead. Another quick FYI while using spray paint, make sure that your spray strokes are like really short and quick. You want to make sure that you're not overspraying any particular area. Number one, this will prevent you from having like those areas that look like the paint was dripping or running on your piece, and then also it will prevent you from overusing your paint. It'll last longer. I was able to get this entire set, well, these two chairs, I was able to get both of them done with just one can of this spray paint. And again, I did go back over it with the sealant just because I wanted to make sure that they were going to last. But if you do short, simple strokes and you're making sure that you're not wasting paint, you can definitely get this done with just one can of paint. Also, be sure that you are taking time in between spraying sections to shake your spray paint can. This is going to help you to get a more consistent look in your paint from piece to piece. Sometimes if you don't shake it frequently enough, you'll start to see that there are some discolorations or some differences or variances in the tone of the paint. So you want to avoid that by making sure that you're shaking it periodically throughout your spray painting of the project. Once that is done, you're ready to reassemble your chairs. Here is a quick look at me putting that together, and then here is our finished product. So guys, let me know what you think. How did these turn out? I personally love them. I think it was a very easy DIY. It saved me a ton of money, and here is a look at how it looks with my existing set. I mean, I think it complements it very well. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and please be sure to subscribe and click that bell so that you'll know each time I upload new content. See you next time.